I want to add something about Hitman. You know, Drew really kind of nailed it with the freedom and the ways it encourages you to be creative and everything. But one thing we haven't mentioned at all is that game has a really amazing sense of humor and personality to it. And not just in the chaos that you cause, but the NPC dialogue and the goofy stuff like becoming a drummer and animating him going through the drums and all this stuff. Like that is a funny game.
Yeah. I mean,
that's very true.
We've talked about the myriad ways in which Doom amused the shit out of us over time, but yeah, you're right.
There too.
We haven't sold necessarily how funny Hitman can be.
Yeah.
I think that is a big part of it, is that, you know, it like Agent 47 is this incredibly dour, fucking like emotionless character, and the situations they continually place him in that game are so absurd
at a level that's so much higher than previous Hitman games.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Is it?
They've never made me laugh like this before.
I mean, obviously there've been crazy
I ran around in
situations in previous
squirrel
Hitman
costumes
games
before,
but
there's tons of goofy shit going on in those games, and we've seen it.
Cleaner and better than they've done in the past.
They leaned
much more
harder.
refined.
They leaned way harder into it this time. Like, yeah, you can dress up like a big bird and drop a piano on someone's head and blood money, but they get kind of elaborate. Like the whole Helmut Kruger thing and the drummer stuff. Like they lean into the humor more than they've ever done
it's
before.
It's a stride that those earlier games did not quite have. Like there were moments in those games that were great and funny, but like they didn't feel like they were necessarily an encapsulation of what the whole of those games were, which was really more just about creative murder.
Yes.
Whereas with this, it feels like the writers are stretching their legs in ways that they never felt empowered to do before, and it works way better than you would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
And lends itself to replaying those maps over and over. Like you do get a kind of neat Groundhog's Day thing of like where you know where everybody's going to be, and then walking around and being like, I'm going to be here this time.
That's another thing. I haven't gotten past the tutorial level because I've replayed it so many times.
It's a really good tutorial.
To finish every challenge or what are they called? Like, now kill him in the toilet.
Okay, so like this is the type of stuff I need to hear to feel like the room wants Hitman to be number one.
I never do that stuff. Like I don't do side missions. I don't replay to get collectibles. But I did all that.
And that's interesting because that would be the sort of thing you would think would only happen by virtue of you playing it as it was coming out, because you're like, well, this is the current map, so I guess I'm just going to play this one over and over again. But coming to it after, like primarily after the final episode had been released, I did that too.